In downtown Seattle, I'm Ursula Royteen.
From Gig Harbor to Greenwood, this is KIRO Radio, 97.3 FM. News and talk, powered by the Pacific Northwest.
The Big Lead is brought to you by 3010 Weight Loss for Life.
The Dori Monson Show on KIRO Radio. This is The Big Lead.
Coming to you from the Carter Subaru studio and streaming on Facebook Live. Welcome to The Big Lead. And just when I think this place can't get any crazier, then Thursday happens. Let's get right to The Big Lead.
The Big Lead. Top story.
So when I was a little kid, I'm going to spin a yarn about my childhood in Ballard. I'm a little kid growing up in Ballard, and I would often ride my bicycle to the Ballard Library. They had this little courtyard area in the back that had a fountain, and you could sit back there on summer days and read books and listen to cascading water. It was really nice. I liked it. I liked it a lot. And one day, I checked out, I mostly read sports books. One day I checked out a biography of Roberto Clemente, the great Pittsburgh Pirate outfielder. And I know that this must have been either 70 or 71 because he was still alive when I checked it out. And Roberto Clemente, on New Year's Eve 1972, he was trying to get supplies to earthquake-ravaged, I think it was Nicaragua, and his plane went down and he died. But he was still alive. I just thought he was a great ball player. And so I checked out this Roberto Clemente book. And a few weeks later, my mom gets a letter from the library that Dori hasn't returned the Roberto Clemente book. And my mom asked me where it was. I said, I don't know. I freaked out. We scoured the house from top to bottom, and I couldn't find the Roberto Clemente book. And my mom's in a panic. She goes, that means we're going to have to buy it. We're going to have to pay to replace it. This was, if it was 71, which is what I'm guessing, that would be 48 years ago. And I remember it to this day because how could I be this irresponsible? How did I lose the Roberto Clemente book at the Ballard Library? And then my poor mom. We didn't have, $2 to scratch together. And she says, we're going to have to pay for the book now. We're going to have to buy it. And, I felt awful. I don't remember what eventually happened. I know my mom didn't have enough to pay for the book, as she feared. And I know she had to go down to the library and talk to the librarians. But 48 years later, I still remember this feeling of, I was really irresponsible. And here I got this place that I love, and now they're mad at me. My mom's mad at me. So let's compare and contrast that to this Jenny Durkin press conference, where she announced that she wants huge property taxes for the Seattle libraries. And, of course, she said it's $213 million. And, the way she phrased it, well, we're just extending the old library levy, which is the little game that all politicians love to play. They pass the levy and they say, it'll just be for 7 years. And then 7 years later, they say, oh, we're just going to increase the amount you were already paying. It was $6 a month. Now it's going to be $7.50 a month for the average home. And they always lowball that figure. I'm sure it'll be more like, because I pay hundreds of dollars on my property tax bill for the King County Library. So Jenny Durkin calls this press conference, and the first thing I thought of was the Roberto Clemente book and how vivid that memory of irresponsibility was. Okay, so why do they need $213 million for the libraries? Mayor Durkin, let me hand it over to you.
As a city, we are absolutely committed to lifting up communities who have been historically underserved. We do that throughout all of our work, and nowhere is that more important, I think, than the library system, which stands for so much about how we are as a better community. I'm committed to, as mayor, and I know the council is committed as well, to making sure that our libraries are open to every resident in the city of Seattle. That's one reason why, in a step for equity, we look across the system. We have to remove as many barriers as possible. So we will be eliminating all of the overdue library fines.
What? So you're raising people's taxes to pay for the fines of people who have overdue library books? That's why you're raising property taxes? So that the people of your city, the responsible taxpayers, can pay for other people's irresponsible kids? And did you hear what she said? It's equity for underserved communities. You know what that is? That's called the bigotry of low expectations. So are you telling me, Jenny, that you don't think an underserved communities is the new liberal buzz phrase for minority communities? And whether that minority be, sexual orientation or skin color or ethnicity, whatever. That's the new buzzword. So are you telling me, Jenny, you don't think kids of color can return books on time? I mean, this is how we achieve equity, by removing fines. So what? People can just steal books from the library? You're just making it a free bookstore? You're raising people's property taxes? So anybody can just walk off with a book and not pay the fine? And as I was listening to this, I just was furious.
We want to make sure people can come in or from their home, get in circulation, enjoy, and not have a barrier to a library or to a place of learning. We find that barriers are real, that fines are barriers in ways that they really shouldn't be and they don't need to be. And we can have a better system, and through this levy, we will have a better system.
Fines are barriers. Yeah, we don't want to hold anybody responsible in Seattle. We don't, gosh darn it. We don't want to punish somebody for not returning a book on time or not returning it at all. That's a barrier. Because apparently if you have fines, you can't use the library until you pay up your fines. You know what? I think that's a lot more fair. She was talking about equity. I think it's more equitable to tell somebody who's got library fines, you can't use the library until you pay your fines. I think that's far more equitable than to tell everybody else, yeah, we got to raise your property taxes to pay for other people's fines. And, but it was all about equity. I'm telling you. She's all about equity. Here's more. Oh, wait. Before I get to that. Then Deborah Juarez, city councilwoman. Deborah Juarez got up to speak, and she thanked Durkin for eliminating library fines.
I also want to say and thank the mayor for waiving the late fees, so I will be first in line for amnesty.
What? You're a Seattle city councilwoman? You can't return a book on time? You're running the city? You're responsible for billions in a city budget? You can't return? You're going to be first in line for amnesty? Let's raise everybody's property taxes so Deborah Juarez won't have to return her library books on time. I'm going to be first in line for amnesty. But I tell you what, though, it's all about equity. We have to be equitable in Seattle.
We will make sure that our public library system, more than ever, opens its doors for opportunity and for equity.
Yes, equity. Tell me more about equity.
The Seattle Public Library really advances equity.
Yes, you do advance equity. Oh, City Councilman Rob Johnson was there, too.
He is such a strong voice for equity across this city.
Yes, Rob Johnson is such a strong voice for equity. Yeah, he lies to his constituents about the need for a bike lane and eliminating parking in his neighborhood. He lies his way to a new job with the hockey team. Yeah, he's all about equity. As long as Rob Johnson gets his fair share, he is all about equity. Oh, hey, can we get more technology in the library? Because you know what I bet that'll help deal with?
We see technology taking off in a way that is so profound. But with that increase can also increase a divide in inequities.
Inequities? Wait a second. Technology produces inequities, but you want more technology in the library, so we have to eliminate fines so that we have equity. Aren't you glad they're going to raise your property taxes? And here's the thing. It's going to be on the ballot this fall. And people are going to vote yes. Libraries, yes. Schools, children first. Of course they're going to vote yes, because there's absolutely zero critical thinking among Seattle, the majority of Seattle voters. I like libraries. Okay. Raise my property taxes. It's going to pay for somebody else's kid not bringing back books. Oh, I don't care. I don't care. Will that produce equity? I like equity. And then the other thing is I sat and listened to this whole Jenny Durkin press conference. You might be able to tell. She was in robot Durkin mode for much of this press conference. And robot Durkin is where she emphasizes certain words to show her sincerity. And she just breaks it down. And, oh, gosh, robot Durkin was in full voice striving for equity.
They provide that first educational opportunity.
Wait, was it the second educational opportunity? Please emphasize the word for me so I don't miss it.
They provide that first educational opportunity for so many of our children, but then they stay with them their whole lives.
They provide that first. She just shows us how much she cares about the children. Let's see. We got any more of those?
They are now a central place where people come together.
Are they? Oh, man, I didn't think about that. Let's see. Let's think about something else.
Hosted more than 5 million visitors. Think of that for a minute.
Yes, I'm thinking of it. 5 million visitors at the library.
We have to make sure that the libraries of the future are the libraries that will serve the community of the future. This is such an important time for the city of Seattle in so many ways.
They're very important times for the libraries of the future. Oh, man, it is quite the piece of work that we've assembled here. So as people have seen their property taxes go up thousands of dollars in many cases for the children, for the schools. Actually, it's to pay for unsustainable teacher raises that the union held everyone hostage for. But your property taxes have skyrocketed for that. As I said, I got hundreds of dollars in property taxes a year that goes to the King County libraries. And now they want, they want the libraries open to all for equity purposes. And by the way, the cost of this levy, you don't ever want to say, if you're a politician, you don't ever want to say the word dollar, because people can wrap their brain around the dollar. Now, like I said, it was they were spending something like $6 a month, and now they want it up to $7.50, and it will be much, much more than that. But she can't say we want to raise it $1.50, because if you're a politician, you want to make sure that you sound earnest and that you never say the word dollar.
If you look at the levy, the renewal amount, the amounts that have been added is about, for the average homeowner, about $1.50 a month. $1.50 a month to do all that we're going to be doing to ensure that libraries continue to be that great oasis for people in this city.
So, are you saying $18 a year? No. It's just $1.50. Throwaway. Just $1.50. Well, let's add it all up. Oh yeah, $213 million. Just $1.50 a month. That's more than you spend on a latte. And think of what we can do for the children to build equity with $1.50. How selfish could you be? What kind of a pig are you that you won't give Jenny Durkin and irresponsible children just $1.50? I mean, if you're against this, you are a selfish human. I don't want you listening to this radio show anymore if you're against this. And I know I may lose some listeners by saying that, but if you won't spend just $1.50 for equity, then I'm sorry. This is not the radio home for you. Oh, man. We're in a nut house. We are in an absolute nut house. The bigotry of low expectations of Jenny Durkin, the demand that people raise their property taxes to pay for other people's irresponsibility, that's the Seattle way now. Tell you what, I didn't know I was going to spend this much time on the libraries, but it's about equity. I'm going to take a brief time out, and then I'm going to continue with the big lead. I've got an amazing a teacher who dares stand against the popular opinion locally. Now everybody wants him fired for it. It's an outrageous story that I will share with you next as we get rolling here on the Dori Monson Show.